Within the Pokemon series, there's many different things that we'll never get an answer to. For better or for worse, the best mysteries are left unanswered after all. So, I'll be going over 10 thought-provoking questions that span throughout the entire Pokemon franchise. Number 1. Do Pokemon say their name, or are they named after the only thing they can say? As we all know, every Pokemon has their own unique name, except for you, Seal, you're just a seal. But how exactly do they receive their name? In the Pokemon anime, Pokemon are shown to only be able to say their name. So did a Pokemon professor just come along and happen to hear a Pikachu saying Pikachu and said, yeah, that's a Pikachu? That's like calling a dog a bark, or a frog a ribbit, or a bird a twitter. You'll follow me. And who's to say Pikachu is the correct order of the phrase it says? Maybe it's Capichu, or Chukapi. There's no real way of knowing after all. And what about the Pokemon that just kinda roar or whatever? How did they receive their name? Look! A Pokemon! I'll name it... You're a genius! Something kinda interesting to note here though is that in the older Pokemon games, Pokemon never said their name. In text boxes of course, the audio quality wasn't too great back then. Pokemon saying their name was a trope that was carried over from the anime into the games. Pretty crazy to think how much of an impact the anime has had. Number 2. What's it like inside of a Pokeball? Something every Pokemon has to go through at some point is being stuffed inside a Pokeball. What's it like in there though? I mean, being crammed inside a Pokeball doesn't really seem too appealing, and Pikachu seems to agree because that's the last place he wants to be. Who knows what horrors awaits inside that dreaded ball? Though we at the very least know how it works now, thanks to Legends Arceus. In the game, Levenson explains that Pokemon have the innate ability to shrink themselves, and that the Pokeball triggers that ability, making it so it's able to be captured in a Pokeball. Pretty convenient, but still doesn't answer what's inside. Number 3. Just how old is Ash, and why does time not seem to affect him? Ash is some sort of time god because no matter how long it's been since he first began his journey, time never really seems to pass by. You're telling me that Ash has traveled across 8 different regions, technically 9, and he's still not at the very least 11 years old? That literally doesn't make any sense. It seems as if as soon as Ash turned 10, the entire world's timeline froze. Nobody can ever age. What's even weirder is that in episode 146 of the Sun and Moon anime, it was revealed that Professor Burnett was pregnant. Then we move on to the next series, Pokemon Journeys. When Ash goes back to Alola, you won't believe who's there to greet him. The baby! This means it's been at least 9 months since Ash left Alola, which, mind you, doesn't even seem that long ago. So just imagine how much time has passed ever since he first left Pallet Town. It's as if Ash himself is a time vortex. Time doesn't affect anything around him, but as soon as he leaves, time continues as normal, and Ash doesn't seem to be the only one who has unexplainable reality warping powers. Number 4. How does Go catch Pokemon so easily? Throughout Pokemon Journeys, Go has had an extremely high rate of capture. It doesn't even make any sense. If he was using Ultra Balls, I'd at the very least be like, yeah, that's fair. But no, this dude goes around throwing Pokeballs at everything. Normal Pokeballs! And like 95% of the time, he catches whatever he was trying to catch. He almost caught a fucking Zapdos! And a Pokeball, no less! The only reason he didn't was because a giant Thunderbolt hit the Pokeball and cracked it. It does kind of make sense though when you consider his very existence is meant to represent Pokemon Go itself. That game's all about capturing. He even throws curveballs, which increase your capture rate. So I guess it kind of makes sense why his rate is significantly higher than everyone else's. It's still extremely strange though. He kind of puts Ash to shame in that regard. I remember each time Ash threw a Pokeball, it was a climactic scene. Like, is this gonna work? I don't know. This Pokemon doesn't really seem like it wants to work a 9-to-5 job at Oh, look, it's caught. Number 5. What happens in the daycare, and do Pokemon even lay eggs? Now, hear me out. Apparently, in the Pokemon world, nobody knows where eggs come from. Reason being, nobody has ever seen a Pokemon lay an egg before. For all we know, there could be some stork delivering all these things. If it's true that nobody's seen a Pokemon lay an egg, I'd imagine whatever the FBI equivalent is in the Pokemon world would be interrogating all Pokemon that are mothers. Listen, Chansey, I'm only gonna ask this once. Where are the Pokemon eggs coming from? I know what kind of stuff is inside those things. Don't you think for a second we're gonna—
Relax, man. Should've known better. Honest. Listen, I know my partner, and he can be a bit of a jerk, but we're pals, right?
Just tell me where the eggs are!
It's on! Get down! Number 6. Where are all the dads? Throughout the entirety of the Pokemon franchise, do you know how many protagonists have had dads? 2. Norman and Professor Birch are the only 2 decent fathers in the Pokemon world, and even then they're too busy with their job to take care of their children. But at least they're there. But where exactly are the others? My theory is that they're having their own little grocery store arc, fighting for their lives trying to obtain the Moo Moo milk they sought off to find 10 years ago. And it's not even just limited to protagonists. Even Brock's father up and left him, and even Ash acknowledges acknowledges that he's a good-for-nothing father. Maybe one day, after the protagonist is successful and champion of their respective region, their father will come back with the legendary Moo Moo Milk. Number 7. Are plant Pokemon made of meat or plant? If I were to theoretically take a bite out of a Cherubi, ignoring the screaming, would it be meat, fruit, or a plant?
Sir, this is a McDonald's.
Okay, but no, like, think about it. There are so many plant Pokemon. Well, like, is it really a plant? Look at Leavanny, for example. It clearly looks like a plant, but if I were to cut it in half, would I have a salad, or would I have second-degree murder charges? Or both. Both might happen too. I wonder how vegans would feel about this in the Pokemon world. They take a bite out of their salad, only to find out that it was a Chikorita. Though if Pokemon like Cherubi do taste like fruit, this does bring me to my next question. Number 8. What limits are there on eating Pokemon? Some Pokemon are flat out eaten by humans. It's a fact. Chansey eggs, Slowpoke tails, Farfetch'd, Magikarp, and I mean, where do you think the meat comes from that supplies the McDonald's I was just at? Can I get an 8-piece chicken nuggets with a small drink, please?
What the fuck?
Okay, so turns out there's limitations on what kind of Pokemon is acceptable to eat. Apparently, Torchic isn't one of them. Okay, how was I supposed to know? Well, now that I know this information, what are the limits? Are there a select few Pokemon that are okay to eat? That would make sense considering how we deal with meat in our world. In the US, it's normal to eat cows, chickens, and pigs. Things like horses, cats, and dogs are not socially acceptable to eat. But this of course varies from place to place. For example, in many parts of India, eating cows is taboo or even just flat out illegal. So what about the Pokemon world? Is there a region where I can finally enjoy my chicken nuggets in peace? I mean, they're pretty good. Since they're fire types, it's spicy, and possibly pre-cooked. It's pretty difficult to draw the line determining what Pokemon are okay to eat and which ones aren't, considering that they're seen as being equal to humans. Number 9. Who is the Masked Royal? Just kidding. We all know who it is. It's the subscribe button! Go subscribe. Now! Number 9. What happens if your Pokemon dies in a Pokemon trainer battle? Say you're in the toughest battle of your entire life, right? And your Pokemon gets sliced in half. What do you do? And whose fault is it really? Is it yours because you didn't call it back in time? Or maybe because you didn't train it enough? Or is it the opponent's fault for using a strong move? Do they have to pay a fee or something? Like, whoops, my bad. Imagine how awkward that would be. And sad because you literally just watched your Pokemon die right in front of you. And do you even bother taking it to the Pokemon Center at that point? Can you fix this? No? Number 10. Can all Pokemon learn to speak? And can Pokemon understand humans? So, oftentimes in the Pokemon anime, Ash and others tend to talk to Pokemon, but what confuses me is if they're even able to understand them. I mean, they act like they do, but sometimes they acknowledge that the Pokemon have no idea what they're talking about. Maybe it's like some sort of synergy thing? Though they would have to understand a certain amount of human speech, seeing as they, kind of have to take orders from their trainer. And if it is true that they're able to understand humans, then they're all more than capable of learning how to talk, and that's exactly what Meowth ended up doing. The only drawback, though, is that he lost his ability to learn any new moves because he, and I quote, used up all his smarts. What does that even mean? Maybe if Meow forgot how to talk, he'd be able to learn new moves again. And if you forgot some Pokemon, maybe you'd be able to remember them by watching this video I made about the top 10 most forgettable Pokemon. Might jog your memory a bit, and you might end up discovering a Pokemon you never even knew existed.